Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It
Force.
is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. Our sponsors for today's show are One-on-One Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, please check out my little cousin, Shanty McBride, and her lovely team at One-on-One Pharmacy. In Nassau, you can find them on East Street South, Charles Sanders Highway. Of course, downtown Freeport, Explorers Bay, just opposite that big gray building there where Scotia Bank and the rest of them are, directly across the street. That's One-on-One Pharmacy in Nassau and Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, BMC, that's us. We deal with maritime security in all aspects. If you need port security or maritime security in any aspect, give us a shout. We are thirdly sponsored by the joint sponsorship of GBI pilots and Bimini pilots. These are a contingent of independent marine pilots that make themselves available throughout the Bahamas. That means any family island, any private island. Once you need a pilot, these guys are available for you. Of course, I say again, pleasant good afternoon. I don't know, it's almost evening. We used to do the show at 7:30, now we're doing it at 5, so I guess it's still afternoon, eh? Tonight, we shall engage discussions on a litany of local and international maritime challenges. Our topics for the night should include the Baltimore Bridge collapse after a ship collided with the bridge. 6 persons are still missing. This is causing a huge impact on the Baltimore Bay, that area where loads and loads of cargo come into the U.S. from all over the world. This is one of the most busy bridges where ships have to negotiate to get in and out of the port. One of the most busiest in the USA. They call it the Baltimore Key Bridge. Now, this just happened this morning around, what time is that? 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And, it's a good thing that the ship was able to make a mayday call. Now, the ship had on board a pilot. As a matter of fact, they had on 2 pilots. I don't know if it was a pilot and an apprentice pilot, or if they switched pilots from one voyage, one area, and then another pilot come to take over. But they had pilot on board, so the ship was under good maneuvering from the pilots. But apparently, what happened was the ship had a blackout. They had some either problems with the machinery on board. And of course, the machinery could affect the pumps, the steering, and everything else. If the ship blacks out and you have no response from anything, there's nothing the pilot can do other than hope. I'm a pilot, I can tell you. There's nothing, because if you don't have your resources to steer the ship and to change the speed of the engine on the ship, then you have no control. You cannot con the ship. So what happened to the ship? And I didn't get the name of the ship. This incident is so fresh. what I did see is that the ship was registered in Singapore. And I can tell you that Singapore registry is one that is well admired. And so we don't think the ship itself was such a big problem. It just so happened that there was an accident. The ship blacked out for whatever reason. It could have been contaminated fuel. It could have been all kind of reasons why the ship would black out. We don't know those details yet. And, we can speculate if we want, because initially, well, you know what happened when something like big like this happened in the U.S. The first thing minds go to is it a terrorist attack? So I think at this point, we can take that one out of our minds. It's not a terrorist attack. It's an accident. It's not a simple, easy, it's a big accident. What would have caused this accident now this ship is a really large container carrier. I think they can carry over 1,000 containers, 20-footers. Okay? So we ain't talking about no small ship. We're not talking about a ship that if it hits, it's not a lot of momentum. We're talking about a very large ship. And they have many ships even larger than that one that caused this catastrophe that goes in and out of Baltimore Harbor. Underneath that bridge. Now that bridge is tall enough for the ship to pass without touching. The gap is wide enough where the channel is. But if the ship loses control, the ship will continue to do what it's doing. What we call it in maritime is the ship becomes not under command. In other words, you can no longer command that ship because you don't have any resources on board that ship to work with. Well, what you could do, and I don't know if these people attempted, and I ain't trying to put nothing on them or put nothing on this, no spin on this story. What we did in Nassau Harbor, because we've had situations, I can tell you, in Nassau Harbor, where cruise ships black out while they were in the turning basin. In other words, there's nothing the pilot, the captain, the crew, nobody could do because there was no power on board for a couple seconds. And what we did in every single case was drop the anchor. And I don't know if I'm sure I can't be sure, but I would think that those pilots who are obviously very qualified people would have made an attempt to drop the anchor. Now, if the anchor dropped, I would think that the anchor would hold and turn the ship around. But as far as we can see, there was no anchor dropping. That ship continued to graduate its way onto that piling. And the thing about it is, it hit the bridge right on the piling. So, the pilings are the things that go into the seabed from which the bridge sits. And it supports the bridge. Just like your foundation on your house have what you call a bell course, right? Where the roof sits on the bell course. Well, these pilings are like the bell course for the bridge. And that ship was so heavy with the momentum that when it hit the piling, it caused the actual bridge to buckle and give way. And once one part of that bridge starts to give way, it throws the other parts off balance because it's all one connected network, eh? And that network was a ricochet of bridge just falling. And news like this really gets my attention. This took a long piece of my time today. And I can tell you, I watched CNN, I watched BBC, I watched ABC. I go on and I Google. I was doing a lot of things because this is such a seismic event that it just took over the news stations. It just took over for the whole day. And they're still talking about it. 6 people still missing or unaccounted for. And when this ship hit this bridge, I think it blacked out 2 times. watch it in slow motion because I was trying to figure out what could have been done. You know? And it's obviously it's an accident because the ship was not even on track. Because if the ship was on track, it would have been more in the middle of the bridge. Because, you know, the highest part of the bridge is actually in the middle. So that is the deepest channel and the highest part where all big ships the pilots would take them along that track. But this ship was off track. So that meant that they were having issues long before the impact. And based on the reports, the Mayday call went out in advance. And the police, or whether it be police or some other fireman, whoever, they were able to get to that bridge in time to stop the flow of traffic. Now, if you watch the video, you'll see a lot of cars whooshing past as the ship approached the piling. And when it made impact with the piling, I didn't see not one car on the bridge. Now, I'm not saying that no car went in the water or whatever the case may be. We don't know. But what I do know is the water was 42 degrees Fahrenheit. So if a human went into that water, of course, hypothermia would kick in after about half an hour, and they'll be dead even if nothing hit them. Because your blood, your temperature of your body can only sustain, I talk about average people like me and you now. I ain't talking about them fellas who's go diving in cold water all their life, because they can stay down there for a long time. But if you're in that cold water, even if you're holding on to something, and the water's 42 degrees, after about half hour, 45 minutes, you can no longer hold on because you start trembling and your blood turn too cold to keep you going. So you just die. I'm not saying those people are dead, but what they are saying is they are unaccounted for. Still missing, in other words. So, what I think could have been done, well, not could have been done in the situation, but what could have been done to avoid such an accident from being so devastating is, and what they're doing this now with a lot of the more modern bridges, they're putting buffers around the pillars, around the pilings. So, and we would have seen it with Portersky Dock, the old Portersky Bridge, Dock Bridge. We would have seen the wooden buffer around the pilings, so that if a vessel hit the wood buffer and wouldn't hit the piling itself. So there was no buffer before the ship hit this piling, because if there was a buffer, then the ship would have hit the buffer, and before it reached the piling, it would have lost the momentum, and it probably would not have caused the bridge to snap. And of course, this is Captain Glenn Bain view of what I saw going down. So, if you feel like calling in, you can call in. You know our number, 326-8255. Call in and share some knowledge on the Baltimore Bridge collision collapse. Feel free. We will also tonight be talking about, well, I don't know if it's our favorite topic, but it's a topic that we got to keep talking about because it's still going on. Shantytown demolitions. What is the update on the Shantytown demolition? Again, 326-8255. If you have some information on the Shantytown update, please call in and let us know. Let the listening audience know. Let everybody can share this information, eh? So, the update that I would have is the team has moved on to Eleuthera. Well, they say they leave Abaco. I say they leave Abaco because, you know, they took down quite a few houses in Abaco, and they were in the Gaza area, and they were supposed to move on to the other two. What were they? The other two places in Abaco, I think one was just a little bit north of the Gaza, and the other one would have been, I think that was the Gully, and further up toward Treasure Key would have been the farm. The farmers, we always knew that was a huge one, eh? So we don't know what's going on because there's nothing in the press. I go by what I see in the press, and if I see in the press, I ain't trying to guess, eh? So somebody know what's going on? Somebody from Abaco, give us a call. Let us know if the demolition continues or if the demolition stopped. Let us know if they're still in Gaza or they move on to the gully or the farm. 326-8255. Give us a call. Now we got continue to big up our Superman, eh? Superman, Mr. Clay Sweeting. We got a call on the line. Call, I see you. Caller, you on,
Afternoon, man. You know, it's my first time calling.
Hey, my brother. Good afternoon to you. What's happening?
Nah, it's my first time in the afternoon, man. It feels good to see and hear some good news in the sunshine.
Yeah, you missed me last lap, man. But thank you for calling, my brother. As always, you know you keep things sticking on the side.
Yeah, well, I always have the good intentions of doing what's up.
Well, you say Lutra, man, so you better let me know what's happening in Lutra.
Well, I'll tell you something. Let's talk about the boat first.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk. Did you get the name of that boat? Because I know it's registered in Singapore. That's all I got so far.
Well, don't worry. I'll have it tonight and I'll text it to you.
Wonderful.
Good. Now, listen to me carefully. Do you know off the top that there has to be a captain from the place where it hit that is on the boat, because the people who actually, the real captains cannot bring the boat in the harbor or take the boat at the harbor.
Well, that's the pilot. They call pilots. That's what I am.
Yes.
Yeah, they had two pilots on board. They had two pilots on board.
And Ben, listen to me carefully.
Mm-hmm.
We had a full moon.
Well,
we had some very strong tides, Ben. Whether or wherever you are, you have to give an account for the tides. Now, I heard you say just now that the boat's supposed to be in the middle. No, it ain't supposed to be in the middle. By time it's the tide and you calculate the tide, you know what I mean, that while you go through, it will come to the middle, because, you know what I mean, it has to be on one side or the other, you know what I mean, to come to the middle. It ain't supposed to be directly in the middle, because the tide would have knocked it down on the other side. You know off the top, when you're staring inside tide, you have, it's like the waterfalls that coming off the mountain. You know what I mean? You have to calculate all together how you're going to get through that thing.
King Otto.
You know this thing, Ben, man. You're the captain.
Yeah, King Otto. No, I am not only a captain, King Otto. I am a pilot.
You're a navigator.
You can't tell me how this thing go, because they supposed to be in the middle of the channel. You got to remember the deepest water's in the middle of the channel. Now, they got to do whatever they got to do whatever's necessary to maintain.
The wind is blowing from.
Yeah, but then
people go from shallow to deep, Glenn.
My brother, when the wind is blowing from a certain direction, then you take the course to adjust for the wind blowing you down. You take the course to adjust for the current pulling you down, and that keeps you on track.
Yes, you got to calculate. You got to calculate it.
But they were off track.
Didn't calculate it.
The only reason they would have been off track is because the ship was blacking out. The video show where they black out twice. They probably blacking out even before. That's why they're giving a mayday call. Why would they give a mayday call in advance if they're not having issues?
Well, that didn't just happen. That's been happening before, and it's just that they didn't do the arrangements to calculate, bring specialists on board.
No, I can't let you get away with that, man.
To solve their problem.
Those pilots
can't get away with that.
I could assure you that those pilots know exactly what they should be doing to make adjustments.
Yes, Glenn, but if your ship got a problem, you don't correct it. How many times they change a prop that is defective? How many times they change a light bulb that is defective and on a ship, and you know off the top, things go until they're gone before you change them. You know how it goes, man.
I was on board ships in Nassau Harbor that black out while we were approaching the dock. These things can happen. Don't never believe a ship that's registered in Singapore. I could guarantee you that would have all the class service done on time. They would have all the port state inspections done on time. Those Singapore ain't running no loose registry, you know. When you register in Singapore, you on your game. I could guarantee you that this is an accident with those two pilots on board. This have to be an accident where they did not have control of that ship. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, well, Ben, you know, sometimes the plane is up at the sky and it drops so far, and then sometimes it gets back up and move on. I know that.
Yeah, but they have a qualified pilot in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but things still could go wrong.
But what I'm saying, you got to calculate. Last night was full moon, brother.
Yeah, but lighting wasn't an issue. You gotta remember when you're on a ship in the night, you don't need lights. You could see better without light at night time.
But I say the full moon, they was moving in water.
Yeah, the full moon means you get
stronger than it usually be.
The full moon means you get better tides, right? And
no, you get stronger tides.
You get better tides as far as they come a little higher than normal. Yes, they're stronger. The current will be stronger.
Yes.
The current will be stronger.
And
yeah,
if you got your ship,
but you don't think the pilot would know this? You don't think a qualified pilot would be aware of all of this? Sometimes
they forget.
No, man.
You know this. Listen to get more.
Hold on. I can't let you get into that.
You forget the days of the month sometimes.
No.
What's the day of the month?
You are talking to a pilot, and you can't tell me I can forget what I'm supposed to take into account before you enter a ship.
You're supposed to know anything. You're supposed to study for them before you get on a boat. As long as, like, you know what I mean? People told us, man. You're supposed to
King Otto, you're wrong on this one. I know you got sea experience, but I don't think you have pilotage experience, right?
All right, then what I'm saying, you're supposed to very carefully understand the tides during a full moon. They are very
My brother, all pilots in the world monitors the tide. They know their harbor. They know when you get full moon. They know when you get neap tide. They know when you get spring tide. They know when you get strong current. They know how the current comes. When you're a pilot in a port, you know every inch of that port. You know how the port behaves. You know how ships, while they're being handled, behave in that port. You talking about experience. You talking about like a plane pilot. You know these people are captains on board ship that say, you're not talking about the captain trying to bring his own ship in the port. You see, that's why I can tell you it had to be an accident. It had to be a situation where that ship was not under command. I could guarantee you this.
Good, listen to me. The best place in the world to learn about these tides is on the beaches in unaccountable ships.
No, you could come to me. You could come to me if you want to learn about these tides. I can teach you.
Because I sat in that window many days watching the tide for me to go fishing after school. Sometimes the tide comes a little bit and go back. Sometimes the tide comes 3/4 of the way and go back. Sometimes the tide comes halfway and go back. You know what I mean? All these things you have to study because every time there is a different tide. You know what I mean? I tell you off the top. A lot of people don't know that because they haven't been exposed to it.
I've been piloting ships. Yeah, I understand.
Different tides, bro.
There's nothing much you could tell me about a tide when you're talking about the impact of a ship coming in a harbor because I did it for over 20 years.
Yes, Glenn, but guess what, Glenn?
And you got, this is what the pilot has to know. See,
Glenn,
that's why I tell you that ship itself was not under command. If a ship is not under command, there's nothing you could do.
Glenn, I understand that.
You believe the ship is not under command? Let me ask you that.
Well, between me and you, it should come off of command because of like some that happens on the boat. Do you understand that?
Okay.
Same thing. You need to know what the tide is doing.
Yes, but you're talking about a qualified pilot. That's the first thing
because you got this to me. When you're fishing, right? You got some tides where the tide is moving one way, and the tide moving the next way. But then there is a tide when there's a slack tide. And a lot of times people get the slack tide and go for the bridge. Right or wrong?
Let me ask you a question.
Because
to be qualified to become a captain, you have to learn how to calculate tides. You have to understand. You have to do celestial navigation. The training that a captain does. And that's a captain. I ain't talking about a pilot because the pilot goes beyond that. What you're saying to me is a joke to what those pilots would have been capable of. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. But if the ship is not under command, there's absolutely nothing. Only God could help you, my friend. There's nothing nobody could do.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to be sick so you get the experience from it.
All right, you're not coming in. You're not coming in clearly. I don't know what's going on, but I can't hardly hear you.
I see. Oh, hey, man, listen to me. Let me call back. Let me let next Mr. Bean come in and talk to you. I can listen.
He need to come to talk to you because he know everything I talking about. Hey, look here. Thanks for calling, man. Look here.
For now. I come back at you in a little while.
Yeah, thank you very much, my friend. Yeah, that's my good friend King Arthur. That's a Lutra man, and he's from where you from where PC Clark them from? Not Point. The next one down. Savannah Sound. That's a sound man, right? He lives in 8 Mile Rock, up in that area. He been to sea for many years, and I don't think he was a captain. I certainly know that he was not a pilot. got his views. And my thing is, I've watched this thing over and over very closely from a pilot's perspective. And I can guarantee you, because one thing I know about pilots, I don't care where the pilot is. One thing but pilots is they know the behavior of a ship in certain conditions. I also know that if you're a pilot and you're on board, when things like this go down, when you lose command of that ship, and when I say lose command, I mean the ship you can't control the steering, you can't control the engine speed, simply because the ship black out. Nothing responding. You ain't got no instrument, nothing. But what I think should have happened, and I'm not saying it didn't happen, because I didn't see that close. I think an anchor should have been dropped. At least that would have slowed down the ship. And that's my view. We got another call. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Good day, and God bless you, Glenn. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Jerome. Boy, I know you're no captain, but I want you to straighten out the captain for me, man.
Let me first of all say this. I've listened to your show several times since you switched from the time from 8:30 in the evening to 5 just after the news.
Yes, sir.
And I tried calling in before and didn't get in, actually, but this is my first time getting through.
Oh, man. The first show wasn't that busy. We had that much calls.
No, I mean, I didn't catch the first show, but I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for calling, my friend. What you saying, man? How things?
Now, I have a question for you based on what you were saying to your last caller.
Go ahead.
A clarification, because I don't even understand what the point you were making here.
Okay.
When you said that ship was not under command, clarify that for us.
Okay. In navigation, they got a book called Rules of the Road, right?
Okay.
The Rules of the Road book, as a matter of fact, it comes underneath the international convention called Collision Regulations, or we call it Call Regs for short, COLREG. COL for collision, REG for regulations, right? The Call Regs lay out the rules of the road. In other words, what side of the channel ship should try. If you're approaching a ship, what should you do? Sound one blast, turn the starboard. When you go in the stern, you sound three blast. All the rest of that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it also tells you what not under command means.
Okay.
Not under command means you lose all of the steering, or you don't have no steering. You can't steer your ship.
Got it.
And they go further on to tell you that if your ship becomes not under command, what you do is you put one engine ahead and you use the second engine to steer, to try to keep on course. You put it in neutral when you want that one engine to go course about, or come more, starboard, or port, or whatever the case, and then you speed it up when you want to get to. So you can actually steer by two engines.
Yeah.
Right? So not under command simply means you have a big problem where you don't have full control of your ship.
Okay, got it.
And so when I say that ship had to be not under command, that means the pilots couldn't get the ship to do what they needed it to do.
Got it.
All right.
Basically, the steerage wasn't working.
It's either steerage or the engine power gone or something.
Yeah,
something.
So the ship had no power to move forward, or no power to.
It has no way to manipulate the direction of the ship.
Now, I also must clarify something too. I wanted to catch your show from the beginning, but I unfortunately didn't catch it from.
Well, that's the first topic.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, but I'm assuming we had some kind of incident here in the harbor recently as to why you're talking about this.
No, man. Where you was? You ain't watch CNN today at all,
bro. Glenn, with the greatest of respect, your show.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've called a talk show in probably 2 months.
But that ain't have nothing to do with CNN, though.
No. My point is, I don't much pay attention to what's going on in talk shows anymore because I'm just tired of it. Just too much negative stuff.
Okay. Yeah,
so I'm burnt out on it. So but I peek in and I hear something good, I'll stick. But if I hear something negative, I go on.
Well, I'm glad you heard something good then.
so yeah, well, you got my attention today.
Yes, sir.
So what was the story then that was, as you said, on CNN?
They had the bridge in Baltimore. Baltimore.
Oh yes, I heard about that. I saw that on YouTube today.
Yeah, but we're talking about how that ship actually collided and caused the whole bridge to come down.
Ah, I got you now.
That's what me and him was discussing. His view is they could have avoided it, but the pilots must say know what they were doing. My view is.
Oh, I see. I see why you were so adamant about the point you were making about the ship not being Under command,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, the pilots couldn't do anything.
That ship was out of control from what I heard out on YouTube today.
Okay.
That ship was out of control. Once that ship lost, the captain, the pilot lost control of that vessel. That was just a floating tragedy waiting to happen.
Yeah, I see you on the line.
Stop it. They couldn't control it or nothing. It just went out of control and then it hit the bridge.
That's it.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the tides.
No, the pilots and them, they know how to negotiate tides. They know how to negotiate currents. They know how to negotiate. Even if you lost all the lights, they would have instruments they could use to get the ship ready.
Yeah. That ship, when it lost control, it was so close to the bridge.
No, I think it lost control couple distance away, a good distance away.
Yeah, but
it couldn't do anything.
It was close enough.
Yeah.
That it had no other option than to hit the bridge because it was out of
not under command. That's right.
Yeah. Not under command / out of control. It was just an out of control vessel.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see. Now that I understand what you're referring to, yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for calling, man. And, I saw you missed call today. Don't worry, I can call you back tomorrow. I don't answer much calls on Tuesdays.
But I was only calling to find out what your show was going to be about today.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
That's why I called, because I wanted to get a heads up on it.
Yeah, we'll chat tomorrow for sure. I'll give you a call.
Yeah, man. But, hey, keep up the good work as always.
Appreciate it, Jerome.
All right, buddy.
You, call you on Maritime Matters. Good evening to you.
Good afternoon, Captain Ben, and afternoon, Bahamas.
Good afternoon, my friend.
Yes, great topic. Yeah, I watched that on CNN, actually on YouTube also, the videos and whatnot. Yeah, we being in the Bahamian military, we have learned a lot about entering and leaving harbor.
That is correct.
Make up anchor.
Yep.
The standard operation procedure for military.
They call it Procedure Alpha.
Right. I don't know how the civilian sailors or maritime people operate, but they need to implement that again because that could avoid many accidents because those large ships, they take about a mile before they could stop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this one, I think, was only doing about 8 knots. She wasn't out to sea where she's doing a full speed. But again, if you have a blackout, you pull the throttles back, you ain't getting nothing because everything black out.
Yeah, because the anchor help you, you could use it as a net. You use the net, the anchor. You don't have to go, sometimes you don't have to drop it all the way to the bottom. It does the anchor so it could take some of the current and slow you down, deviate you, or whatever. And then in the case of emergency, it's already there, so you just let loose, let loose everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the anchor should have been in a ready position. The anchor should have been in a ready position. And
exactly.
They should have dropped every single anchor. Even if they had a stern, drop every anchor you get on a ship so that you can't control it, but you don't want it to keep going, Drop it.
Yeah, because you ain't got no power. If you propel it and then you wouldn't get worried about the damage, you worrying about getting the ship secure so that you could at least maneuver and don't cause collateral damage like that. That's collateral damage.
Yeah,
that's collateral damage.
I think what's going to happen is once the investigation, I don't know what it's going to reveal, but if it reveals that they did not drop that anchor, they're going to be in a lot of problems.
Well, you get quite obviously they didn't drop the anchor.
That's how it looked to me.
Prepared, I guess they just maybe panic, Some, like you said, you were talking about the captains.
Yeah.
The captains may not have been that experienced, or sometimes they may not was calm under fire. That's part of it too,
Yeah, but they had the pilots on board. The pilots are the experts. Pilots will not. Yeah. They would know what to do in these situations because.
Yeah, and then the ship crew got to be. They got to be on duty too.
Well, that's
some of them
thing.
They get so familiar with and they get so relaxed.
Yes.
You don't get relaxed in those things because you know what could happen. Coming to the call harbor, you know how sometimes to get to that 1 mile buoy.
I use leg speed.
Prancing and prancing, you know what I mean?
I use leg speed coming to the call harbor. If something going wrong, I
don't know if that was a good option. The speed was a good option, at least because you had propulsion to carry somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yes,
before you could get off course, you know what I mean?
Indeed.
Yeah, it's tragic, but I hope that no lives were lost. But they said they couldn't find 8 people or something like that.
6 people are still unaccounted for.
Yeah, but I hope to God that at least they find the body.
Yeah. I'm sure they probably would because it's just I think they were the workers who were working on the bridge because they were doing some maintenance, 24-hour maintenance, And I think some of the workers who was doing the main thing, they're the people who they can't find. They probably among the rebels or whatever, but I'm sure they'll find it.
Right. And part of the collapse and whatnot,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sad, but we just need to take that in consideration and make sure our maritime policies and procedures are upheld.
Well, we got the best pilots in the world now. Them cruise ships coming in the port here. We have had situations where they had to drop anchor because they lost power on board the ship. These things are real. I can tell you experience it.
Definitely man-made stuff. And you can go at any time. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
And any time, So just hope that they take this as a lesson and move forward.
Well,
I'll continue to listen to your show. Nice topic. I ain't get to them Shanty Town. I know what's happening. I'll keep listening.
Appreciate you, my friend. Take care, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you ain't know what this is, but we'll talk later.
Man, I know this voice. I want to say this is my shipwright. This is my shipwright. I'm counterpart, but I ain't saying that.
Yes. You're quite right. Because when you get on, then I used to want to turn them more. I say, let me leave that.
Man, feel free to call anytime. I know there will be stuff people calling.
I see him got the commercial too, but that's good. That's good advertisement.
Thank you, Brother B. Thank you, Brother B.
In the maritime, good advertisement.
Take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Roger. Call you on Maritime Matters. Thank you so much for calling. Caller 91. No caller. Okay. My apology if I had you waiting too long. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back. I don't welcome you back. I just want to remind you that we are on Maritime Matters. Maritime Matters is on a weekly basis every Tuesday. We start now right after the news, 5:05 p.m. every week on Tuesdays on Love 97. And our topics for tonight, so far we've been talking about this bridge in Baltimore Harbor that a big, huge container ship rammed into, and as a result, the whole bridge sank. And this bridge had thousands of cars going across every day because somebody kind of compared the Baltimore Bridge, or they call it Key Bridge, because it's named after a gentleman whose last name is Key. I don't remember his first two names while I'm on air, but I did read about him. The Key Bridge is a very critical bridge in Boston Harbor because this is the bridge that takes you from one section to the next section without having to go all the way around the south and to come all the way back up, which will probably take you about 12 hours. And so this bridge will be down for a while, as you know. It'll take some time to put it back up. But the fact that it's a big maritime issue is the reason why I had to pay it so much attention. And we went into the Shanty Town talk, Shanty Town demolition. My good friend King Arthur called me, and he's a Lutra man. I wanted him to tell me because my understanding based on what's in the press is that the demolition team, and that ain't the right name, right? It's the team that's responsible for ensuring that the Shanty Towns are addressed. And of course, Superman, Minister Clay Sweeting, the Minister of Works, along with my good boy Craig Delancey, they the two that are spearheading this operation. They've done 3 places already in Nassau, as you should be aware. They brought down Cool Acres, they brought down this place called All Saints Way or All Saints Shantytown. Then they brought down the one called Lot 52 or Area 52, just heading toward Coral Harbor there. And then they went to Habaco, just outside of Marsh Harbor, more like Dunderstown or Murphytown. That's the one I was trying to remember last time. Yeah, just beyond Murphytown, they had the mud and the pigeon pea wood got fully destroyed by Hurricane Dorian. And what happened is instead of going back there, because the government had that under full monitoring, the people started to build structures in an area that was eventually dubbed the Gaza. I don't know why they call it the Gaza, because right now the Gaza internationally is a serious term. But they call it the Gaza. And a lot of houses were going up and still going up and gone up, and then that mushroomed into The other two areas, the closer one, which is I think on the next side of the highway, the gully, they call it. Again, a lot of and these nice homes. I saw some Kai Care videos, and I gotta give it to Kai Mills, because Kai Mills he was on the game. And if you don't send these videos out, I would never know. I don't think you'll be much else will know, eh? So we need people like Kai Mills to expose these things. We got a lot of people right here in Nassau knowing about all our shanty towns. They passing them every day and they wouldn't even, I guess they're scared, I don't know. But Kai ain't never scared, he's something like me. So Kai Care videos showed us what was going on in the Gaza. I think you also gave us a shot at what's going on in the gully. And these are nice homes, man. I mean, I don't think, according to my good friend Craig Delancey, he was in charge of the building control section. Craig is saying that yes, they're built, but they cannot verify that they were built to building code specs. Because if you ain't make application and had the inspector come and check you, ain't nobody could say whether or not you take shortcut, whether you leave this out, because inspectors will tell you, boss, this can't go no further until they do that. And I can tell you, I've been dealing with those building control inspectors from time to time. So I can tell you, they ain't gonna let you get away with it because they want the structure to be right, eh? So then they went a little further on into the farm, which is closer to what did they rename it? All the people the money? Treasure Key. Why I say all the money? Because the name Treasure Key. Okay. So as you approach Treasure Key, you got and the farm was going on. I think even before Dorian, you started to get information about this farm being built up and how it's getting so big and all the rest of that. But you know, our Superman says he's on that, and I have no doubt that at the end of the day, the three of them will be down, and that task force or team or whatever we refer to them as, I can't remember what the official reference is, but they went to Eleuthera. What happened when they go on Eleuthera? They are giving out notices of the little 1 month be gone because they're coming to break it down. And I think they started out in Eleuthera with Russell Island, eh? That's that island just to the west of that's developed eventually just to the west of Spanish Wells. I've been to Russell Island 1 or 2 times. I remember we used to search Russell Island to see if any drugs is on Russell Island. Because you know, back in the 80s, we used to search almost every key we come across in the Bahamas. But Russell Island was one of our favorite places to search. And eventually, you know, they just started to build nice homes in Russell Island. But who's building the homes? A lot of Haitian migrants. So Haitian migrants come and they wouldn't go back in the night, so they stay, and the next thing you know, they got Shanty Town in Russell Island, eh? And I think that is now being addressed by Superman and Co. And then, of course, the mainland Eleuthera, we would have places like Tarpon Bay. Tarpon Bay, that's my boy, my squaddy. We went to Dartmouth together. That's David Morley. Boy, Dave, he said, you got some shanty towns up in there, you got to give me a call. David Morley and crew, Tarpon Bay. Then they got Grain Castle as well. Apparently, according to the press, they are being given notices in Grain Castle, the shanty towns they have there. And well effort. I would leave out Palmetto Point. Yeah, Palmetto Point that's one of the biggest settlements. Boy, they got some fine women in Palmetto Point now. I remember anyway, we ain't talking about all that. But Palmetto Point is another place when notices are being given out to say, be out of here within such and such a time because we're coming to break it down. And that's really what's going on with all that kind of operation right there. And then in the press as well, we got some stuff going on. Oh, we got a call on the line. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Good evening, Captain Dean. How are you?
Pleasant good evening to you, my dear. I ain't hear from you for a while. How you doing? I'm good.
I'm well.
You know I know this voice. Now, what you saying?
Good evening to all of your listeners. We're talking about the bridge, because I'm listening today on time.
Thank you so much.
I want to talk about these vessels that are sinking around Portersky Dock.
Oh, you sinking or some already sinking? Ain't move yet?
Yeah, this one now recent.
You got another one sink recently?
Yeah. the original Grandmaster.
Oh, that's now sunken. Yeah, that I think that was taken over, or that was bought by some Haitian nationals, or some non-Bahamians.
Right. So what I want to discuss is the amendments to the legislation that requires vessels to be insured, and the insurance should cover removal of the wreck.
Oh, now, can that be mandated from a transport perspective, though? I mean, because I could tell you what happened when I was serving in the port department. It was very difficult to find insurance for jet skis, and we got I don't remember her name. God bless her soul. She was the registrar of insurance at the time, and we actually engaged the registrar of insurance to find out what we could do to ensure that these jet ski operators who we want to give license to can have third-party coverage and all the rest of it, because nobody wanted to insure the jet ski people. And they inquired, and they got one company to come along. I think, I don't remember the name of the company, but it's right there on Marathon Estates. Star something, right? And they provided, and every single jet ski operator went there to get, because they couldn't get it from nowhere else. So I don't know if it's as easy as saying form legislation to say they have to have this coverage. Is this coverage something that is available from insurance companies?
Locally, I don't know.
But see, that's why I brought it up, because we could want things, but you can't make it so onerous that the person who want to register their ship cannot find what you're asking them to get. So I really would suggest that whoever's behind this get together with the registrar of insurance, who is also a government entity, and try and ensure that this thing could be available in the Bahamas before you make a mandate that they must have it.
I don't know the registrar of insurance, but I know that the insurance is difficult to get, and it's very costly. So
yeah, so how do they expect people to continue operations if, well, you say it's very costly, but it's difficult to get, but is it readily available? Because, it's a risk that insurance companies may not want to take on.
But do you have any suggestions as to what to do about these vessels that forming debris in our waters?
Yeah, I have. I spoke about it all the time. The thing is, the port department, who has the responsibility to ensure that only operational ships and vessels use porter ski, they need to do their job. Because if the port department does their job, these ships that are sinking was sitting there, wasn't running for years. They should never be there. Why we gotta pacify the situation and bring in insurance and all that? No, let's run porter ski like it's supposed to run to begin with, and then we ain't gotta worry about them kind of things. Because porter ski right now is a total disgrace, and if you ask me, nobody taking charge. So do you think if porter ski today was to be running the way the regulations provide, that we would still be having these kind of problems?
Well, no, but I just think that, there's a lot more to it than that.
Well, even if there's a lot more to it than that, the answer cannot be put the onus on these people who both go sink to get insurance. What foolishness is that?
That's an international convention that they signed up to, though. So it's not, they just try to implement.
What does which international convention they sign up to say they can do what?
Wreck removal.
Wreck removal is different from boat sinking and porter ski, because you have wrecks all over the place. You got a lot of wrecks right near porter ski in the harbor there that obviously need to be removed, right? But what I'm saying is, if you allow vessels to become wrecks, then you might need to sign on to something. But why would you want to allow vessels to become wrecks in places where they're not even supposed to be? People who use porter ski supposed to be paying for that. Vessels that are not operational, I see all kind of boats, the tugboats and all kind of things getting repaired every day. That's a real junkyard. The amount of containers sitting on porter's key, you can hardly see from one end of porter's key to the next. I mean, even if you're on the western side, and even if you're on the eastern side, because so much containers blocking your view. None of them should be on Porter's Key. Operational. Get your operation on the next side of the what do you call it? Over the hill, and keep your containers over there. Now, when it's time for that container to get on board the ship, you bring it over there, let it sit until the ship ready to leave that day. But don't bring it over there 2 days before. No containers should be on Porter's Key dock, in my view. And until we get serious about regulating Porter's Key the way it should, these insurance thing that they make it so onerous for people to do, in my opinion, it's a bunch of foolishness.
Okay.
So they need to look at the problem and not try and put Band-Aid over the problem. Because that's what they appear to me like what they're doing.
Yeah, I think the whole maritime industry needs a complete overhaul.
Well, let's start with places like Porter's Key. Because Porter's Key is something that impacts all of us. Impacts our tourism. We got to clean that up.
Yeah, but cleaning it up, it isn't just, because I mean, you're just moving debris out of the way and then another set of debris coming.
Yeah, that's because you're not mandating that any vessel coming to Porter's Key must be operational. If it ain't operational, don't bring it here.
No, they don't. They become seaworthy or whatever right there sitting there.
Yeah, but who's checking them on a daily basis? I could guarantee you that they sit there until they deteriorate without paying a dime. And that's dock space that could be utilized for vessels that are operational, and they will pay to use that space. So we even losing money by allowing Porter's Key to run itself.
Well, anyway, I'm going to think about it. Call you back.
Okay, my dear. Hey, thank you so much for calling. You know you can call anytime, right?
Yes.
Thank you, my dear. Oh, that's my good friend, maritime lady in all rights, well qualified. She and I always have these kind of discussions. I don't want to think I kind of run hot, but I have to run hot when you think but the things that are being allowed. That's why I got to say Mr. Leon Flowers is such a big hero. Because if Mr. Leon Flowers is still running that port, none of this would have been going on. The foolishness was going on today with Harvey Sweeten running that port would not be going on. And especially if I was the deputy. You'll never see it. Anyway, thank you so much for that call, my dear. Number to call in, people, if you want in on this discussion is 326-8255. Listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and we've got a litany of topics to cover. We finished one or two of them. We talk about the Shanty town demolition. We talk about the Baltimore bridge collapse. We just talk a little bit about Porter's Key. We want to get into some RBDF abductions of late, that type of thing. But before we do that, we'll just run to a break. And let me just, before we go to the break, introduce my great producer, Mr. Craig Gibson. He's keeping me on keel, on even keel. I miss sometimes. He's up to tell me, but you got to call on the line. I say, yes, sir. And he give me that salute, that old defense salute. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. I'm your host, Captain Glenn Bain. We will return right after this break. Thank you.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in. Then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime Matters. I'm your host, Captain Glenn Bain. And, we got a kind of hot show tonight. We are loaded with information. We got a litany of topics. And I take this opportunity before I get into this second half of time of this. Lord, time one advance. Only got a half hour left. That's not good. I take this opportunity to give a shout out to my number one fan. You all know my number one fan? Auntie May up there in Freeport. Yes, Auntie May was 91 just 2 weeks ago and going steady, going strong. Auntie May, we talked to the Auntie May tell me, say, she ain't by Lorraine. Lorraine is the oldest daughter. She lived by Lorraine, but I think she by Margot now, and boy, Margot's wake up too early. Margot, please don't be getting my Auntie May up. No, 7 o'clock in the morning, talking about eating no breakfast. Auntie May used to eat breakfast for 10. Make sure Auntie May get a breakfast. Auntie May, let me know if Margot don't do right now. I have to come over there and deal with Margot. Margot's my buddy though. Not Margot, that ain't Margot. She tell me she by Nisi. Oh, Nisi, that's my god sister. Nisi. I apologize, Margot. Nisi, you know how we go. That's my buddy, man. That's my buddy. Anyway, Auntie May, thank you for listening. Thank you for continuing to listen. But you my number one fan. Ain't nobody changing that. My producer being Craig Gibson, ladies and gentlemen, the best producer in town. He is just all of that. And a bag of chip, I had one girlfriend who used to say. You're listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Again, Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05. What is 17:05? That's military maritime time. That's 5:05. Right after the news at 5. Maritime Matters kick in on Tuesdays here on Love 97. The purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime feeds. Our number to call if you want to check us out, you want to call in to make a contribution. Our number is 326-8255. That's 326-8255. So while we talk maritime, we'll go on to our next hot topic. Again, we can talk about the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Those guys are doing a dandy, eh? You hear what they're doing down in the south? First of all, they created that blanket, or that's the wrong term. They did a blockage of the south. So they focus on the area between Ragged Island and Inagua, and around Inagua and around Ragged Island, and they ain't too concerned, but those fellas who want to go hug up Cuba underneath Cuba, because that ain't our waters, right? Let the Cubans deal with them. But we definitely want them snooping up in our areas. And very recently, we caught 1 or 2 ships right off Inagua, in that area. And of course, we took them into Inagua and till such time as we ready to repatriate, because we ain't no need to bring them to Nassau or we put them in no detention center. As a matter of fact, do we need a detention center? We don't even need a detention center. Call, I see you on the line. I'll be with you in a second. We don't need no detention center. And I can tell this, let me get the caller before the caller get tired of waiting. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Good evening to you.
Good afternoon, Glenn.
Hey, good afternoon, my brother. What's happening?
Glenn, I hear you talking about this insurance. This mandatory. I don't know if it was mandatory, but they mentioned insurance anyway in the new registration thing.
That is correct. They're trying to mandate, they're trying to legislate that if you gonna get your...
No. That is another... The government really need to sit down sometime and talk to people that it affects about these things,
I agree.
I am a boat owner.
Right.
I have 3 vessels.
Mm-hmm.
I don't insure no vessel, and here's why. More than 20 years ago, when I had 3 vessels, I used to insure boats, paying the insurance company some $24,000 a year. The first time I had a claim in about over a 5-year period, the insurance company never paid me.
Are you referring to commercial boats that carry tourists? I mean, carry passengers? Or are you just talking about?
No, I got fish boats.
Pardon?
Fish boats.
Oh, that's different. Yeah. No, the liability insurance is really for passenger vessels that carrying passengers. But I'm listening. Go ahead.
So, more than 20 years ago, I haven't insured a boat since. I make sure they got plenty working pumps, plenty fire extinguishers, and hope the guys don't put it down the ocean.
Yeah, that's like your if you get a couple buildings and you want to self-insure, you don't, only if you owe the bank money they insist that you insure those buildings. Because I mean I don't. It's up to you if you want to take the chance and say, well, I'll self-insure and I'll put so much money per month in an account that if something happened to any one of my buildings, the money will be there. That's only common sense to me.
That's what the Catholic Church does right now. All the Catholic Churches are self-insured.
That's right. But
they put away X amount of dollars every year, what they would have paid the insurance company.
Yeah.
And that's in a fund that they can use on any one church if it's needed.
Correct. Now, what I think,
just if it's needed.
And I think that make a lot of sense. But what I think that insurance thing, and I didn't read it in detail. I saw it, and I almost read it. But the lady that called, what she was saying is what she's saying is the purpose of that is you have to make sure that if your vessel was to become a nuisance, if your vessel was to become a wreck, that insurance will cover the removal of your vessel.
The insurance don't cover that.
No, but she's saying that they're trying to mandate that your insurance include that. And I am saying to her that it don't work that way with insurance. Because if that's a risk the insurance don't want to take and the person can't get it, then what does the government expect the person to do? Right? Because if they do what they're supposed to do as far as making sure, because this apparently is coming from those vessels sinking at Portsea Dock. But if the port department does what they're supposed to do and ensure that only operational vessels even tie up at Portsea, right? And they have enough manpower to do it, then they don't have to worry about boats sinking at Portsea, because those boats would sink at Portsea was there for years and they ain't run.
Here is the issue with the boats at Portsea Dock.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, a fish boat coming in there to sell fish and who is willing to pay the $7 or $10 a day, whatever it is, they can't find a space.
They can't get to the dock because you got all them boats clogging up the space because they don't work.
Including the tugs.
Yes, including tugboats, including old mail boats. Old mail boats that ain't run for years. They shouldn't be to that dock.
The Grandmaster just think, look around the Grandmaster. How much of them old derelicts?
That's the area she was referring to, right? But
come up a little further where the tugboats is by the police station. They got 3 or 4 tugboats tie up a beam of one another. They ain't moving the last 10 years.
They ain't moving but 20 years, some of them. But I agree with
you. And then back of them is some other old steelers, what was confiscated, which was supposed to be down in the ocean, because that's what the former government was doing with them. But somehow they slipped through the crack, never went with the tender, and ended up at Portsea Dock to sink right there again.
Yeah, and then there were times when the Captain C would come in from her voyage down to the Exumas and Ragged Island, and when she come back, she had to tie up alongside the Captain Moxie, because the boats them take up all the dock space, the fishing boats and stuff, and some of them don't never move, taking up all the dock space, even where the Captain Moxie, the Captain C would want to tie up, and they'll have to wait for the next day to report to try and get some of them boats to move it. But let me tell you something: the port department is mandated by law, right, to ensure that vessels using Portsea are paying for dock space, are paying for using water. If they're non-operational, they ain't supposed to be there. If a boat is sitting there waiting and another boat coming which want to get to the dock and do transaction, they gotta let them get to the dock and do what they have to do. These things are mandated, but ain't nobody checking.
Man, how you gonna pay for water when half the dock ain't got no water?
Well, they may not have water now because they were not regulating the water. You see, if they're doing things properly, they'll have water. There's no Portsea is it's just a mess.
I know you don't want to hear this, right?
Don't be sure, I might want to hear it.
The Force Department was on a downhill camp from Leon Flowers leaved it.
Well, that's exactly what. Well,
And it's going down.
I ain't
down,
sure, but since Leon Flowers leave now, because I was there, and it wasn't on.
I was there too, looking on the from the outside.
So when me and Harvey Sweeten was running, it was going on a downslide from then.
It was going on the downside from Leon Flowers left. I ain't saying nothing. I got nothing to say.
Okay, but you on that. I have no issues. Leon Flowers was the man. I don't think nobody else could really compare with the way he ran that Portisky dock. There's nobody else that could compare.
Look at the I don't know if you're talking anything about Shanty towns. I call.
Yeah, man.
I had to call Harbor Road every day. I don't know if you frequent that road, but I know you don't go to the BDF no more.
No, I don't go there no more. But I still drive up and down, and I see a lot of clearance on that Wellfield side now. There's a lot of clearance going on.
When you drive down and you pass the corner by where the Bacardi Road is.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the Haitians built up almost got away with building up a whole shanty town right on the park.
Right by the bat sign in the back there?
Right on the park. The Haitian Creole restaurant was operating there, but I think the government put a hold on that. I haven't seen them there for a while.
Well,
but as soon as you pass that,
on
your right-hand side by the corner, look over there. I have brought that up to Minister Clay Sweeting, and nothing is being done about it. And right now, I could count at least about 15 houses through there, and I see lumber going through there every time I pass.
But I was told...
Blow the hand before they do something about it again.
Caller, I was told that the government is aware of every single structure that is going up illegally in this town, And I don't know for the likes of me, if me or you try it, be finished. They just sit back and allowing this. And they allowing it, and when it become out of hand, now they saying they starting to dress, they did something up in Cool Acres, they cleared that one down. All Saints Way, they did some things there, but I understand a couple more around in that same area they didn't get. They did something up in area 52 up near Coral Harbour there off Carmichael Road. I understand they cleared down some from around there. But my thing is, okay, so you did them, why you stopping? When are you going to get, because if they got like 30, 40 of them in Nassau and you know where they are, what's the pause, what's the delay? There's so much money involved in this thing that people, because that's government property, that everything to the western, what is Coral Harbour on east-west, to the north of Coral Harbour, between the Radbat sign and Coral Harbour roundabout, all that was government, that was reserved for the water table. Nobody could have built nothing there, that's government owned.
And they're building on that.
They're building on it now.
With no cesspit.
But let me tell you what they're doing though. You may have one person say to them, look, this is my property, you could build there, but pay me so much money. And some of these people don't even know that this ain't these people's property. And that's what they're doing to make money. And if the government don't step in and stop it, it's going to continue to mushroom because money is involved. It's all about that money.
Yeah, man.
So we gonna have to keep making an issue. And on this show, I ain't gonna stop. They don't like it. I don't. Let me see you do something about it. And I say,
long way to go, my brother.
Minister Clay Sweeten was more active. He's the most active in the history of the Bahamas at this point when it comes to breaking down Shantytown. Because Shane Gibson did some, but nobody else I know of who break down Shantytown. And Mr. Loftus Roker had them on the run, but they ain't had much Shantytowns back then.
Yeah, but the real issue was when the magistrate stopped what Dr. Minnis was doing when he was in power.
Yeah, but the magistrate was kind of right because they were using the wrong taxi, and the magistrate told them, the judge told them, look, you could use your building code regulations to take them down. Ain't nobody can stop you if you do that. And that's what they now doing. So I think they were taking the wrong approach. They was trying to do it on for other reasons. But they were not using the building code as the reason why they're breaking them down. But now that they're using the building code, ain't nobody having no issues. Ain't no kickback. But so all I'm saying is our authorities now need to, I don't know if these people who getting paid to have those houses on those properties and stuff being protected. I don't know, but I can't. How should I look at it if you're not moving on it? Well, I guess people can say the same thing with Porter's Key, eh? Why they moving and doing what they're supposed to do at Porter's Key, dog, to keep that area the way it should be. Our government entities are just too slack. Bottom line, they're too slack.
Yeah, but keep your foot to the fire, my brother.
Well, I can do my part. You know how I go. Well, thank you for calling. Thank you so much for calling. I ain't sure who this is, but you sound like someone I know, and I know you know me. So
you know me, and I know you.
Indeed, my brother. Thank you so much for calling, man.
All right, bro.
Roger. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we here to discuss these things. We here to talk about what is wrong in our country. And we owe it to our children and our grandchildren, and in some cases, great-grandchildren, eh? Because what are you going to say to your grandchild when your grandchild become 25 and say, Daddy, I can hardly find property around here because everything then borrowed by the people who ain't Bahamians. I can't find a job because then people getting job over me because people like how they work or whatever the case may be. Where you been when these people was taking over our country? What are you going to say? Well, you know that was going on. People was complaining, but the government was in there. What are you doing? You, dear listener, what are you doing to try and protect this land for Bahamians? What are you doing? Yes, we may say the government ain't doing this and the government ain't doing that. What are you doing? Give me a call and tell me. 326-8255. You're listening to Maritime Matters. On the show, we talk maritime. Now, maritime, the RBDF abducted, they found a boat loaded with migrants off Seal Key. That's in the Ragged Island chain. And they took them back, of course, to Gun Key, where the base is. And from there, they would take them to Machu Town, Inagua, and get them ready for shipping out. And we shipping them out by boat, by Defense Force cutters. Why not? That's only a short trip across the Santorin Channel, the ocean, to get from Inagua to Cape Haitian, eh? So let's do it. And we're doing it. And I think recently we had Amnesty International saying that the Bahamas should sign on to some treaty or agreement they did somewhere in LA or when the Prime Minister went on there and was reluctant or refused to sign. Because what they're trying to say is once the Haitian leaves and makes landfall in the Bahamas, we should not send them back. And you know what? I'll be the first one to say those Haitians are my brothers and sisters. And if I was in that position, I would try to do the same thing. I would be the first one to say that. I first-handedly saw the souls that develops on these people when they're out to sea for 2 to 3 weeks trying to get from Haiti to Nassau. They ain't trying to get to no southeastern island because they can get catch, eh? Because they can't mushroom their way in there through Shanty towns and whatnot. So they're trying to get to New Providence or Abaco or someplace where they could mushroom, they could actually filter in. So I saw when I was only 21. That's when I had my first command, HMBS Lutra. I was only 21 years old, young boy. Fresh out of, well, I wasn't fresh out of Dartmouth, I would say, but a year and a half, 2 years. But at age 21, I came across a Haitian vessel, and I tell you the truth, we could have smelled them before we get, and that's how we knew they was in our area, because we smelled we were downwind from them. We could have smelled that stench, because you had 3 people on this vessel for 3 weeks, and well, of course they can't bathe. As a matter of fact, there was no space on that vessel to keep food or water. And that vessel was, it had like, must say 120 persons, and the boat was only about 45, 50 feet long. So every conceivable space was taken up by a human being. And then they had some human beings that had died on the way up. And what happened when they died? The others, and I said this in the show before, the others would cut limbs like hands and foot and stuff off and eat that because they ain't got no need for 3 weeks. They ain't getting water to drink. They want all white up and because they try to drink salt water sometimes, and because they ain't stopping nowhere. Ain't nobody giving them nothing. Because they try to duck everybody, want nobody catch them. So, and when we came across them, they were kind of happy because we were able to give them water. They realized, nah, boy, this is what I going through. I glad because some of them are so close to death. These people go through a lot to get here. These people, they make big sacrifices, and I can tell you, a lot of them die, and a lot of them are very close to death when we come across them. So, after that, it's kind of touchy to say, well, send them back home. Now, back in those days, we sent them back home, it was no big deal because Haiti was still under some sort of semblance. But now, with the way things are in Haiti, it's so unregulated. You know, it's just a risk to be alive in Haiti. So Amnesty International has a point. But we're a sovereign country. We need to protect our own integrity and our borders. Right? So if you send us, if they get in, let them come, let them stay. That's difficult. And then what you can tell us next? Put them in a detention center and feed them and all the rest of that. And you ain't trying to give us no money to what it? Anyway, we got some things to do to cause those Haitians to don't want to be in the Bahamas. What are those things? The main thing is to ensure that they are not employed anywhere unless they have the requisite work permit. And they're not going to get work permit to work in certain areas because the government have a policy saying that they should not get work permit to work in certain areas. And let's don't only go to the Haitians. Let's go to the Filipinos. Let's go to the fellas on all of the mail boats and all the rest of that. Because the law is the law. The government policy is, and this ain't no PLP policy. This ain't no F&M. This is the Bahamas government policy. So whichever administration is in, they supposed to protect, adopt, and ensure and enforce that. Or change it. But if you get a policy in place that specifies you should not have any foreigner working in your housekeeping industry, for example. And then you go out west, you know, them big areas out west, like Old Fort Bay and Lyford Key and thing like that. And you check those houses and see what the housekeepers, see what the babysitters, see, they're non-Bahamians. How the cahoots could they get work permit in this country to be a housekeeper? You're saying we don't have Bahamians who can be housekeepers? You're saying they're more professional than our people? Then let's train our people to be more professional than them. Because there's no reason on this good earth why in this country named the Bahamas, 50 years after independence, we cannot have females qualified enough to be a housekeeper in Lyford Key. That's nonsense. We need to get it right. Why in this day and time we can have insecurity 50 years after independence? A foreigner coming in to take over security at a hotel resort. We got a whole police force, a whole defense force, we got private security. You got me. I can take the job. I don't want it, but I can take it. You tell me you can bring a foreigner in to do what we got people here been doing all these years. Isn't that an insult to our own people? Which government entity is going to approve for a foreigner to come in here to do security at a hotel? To be in charge of all the people in the security at the hotel. When we've had senior police personnel doing that for decades. You telling me there's nobody in this country qualified to do that? Because that's the only way you're supposed to bring that person in. When there's no Bahamian qualified, so we bringing this person in. Now what the criteria? What does person have to do that job that our Bahamians don't have? Well, criteria, eh? We need to get serious in this country. Our cabinet need to get serious. Don't allow, how you would sit by and allow these things to happen? We got on our private islands. The cruise ships obviously own the private islands where they go. But we have an international regulations called ISPS, International Ship and Port Facility Security, where one person is supposed to be responsible for ensuring that that port facility is up to standard with the ISPS code. And the code requires certain type of fencing, lighting, buffer zone. The code requires that you have all trained security personnel, that all persons who work on that compound does a specific 4-hour training. So the code requires a lot of things. But the person who's supposed to ensure that all these things are being done is known as the Port Facility Security Officer. And I personally have trained dozens of people because I ran a Port Facility Security Officer course every single year for the past, from 2004. Well, maybe not the year when we had COVID, but we had 8, 10, 12 people passing out as Port Facility Security Officer, and you could tell me you could bring in a foreigner or you allow them to have a foreigner doing that job? And who allowing it? The government authorities. And they know, they have to know. If they don't know, I can tell them, and I didn't tell them before. Security is a job reserved for Bahamian citizens, according to the government policy. So how you can now tell me Bahamian citizens are qualified to be PFSOs, but we can use foreigners? Bahamian people are qualified, they're doing it everywhere else. They're doing it on big facilities, right? Like Baco, Buckeye, and Grand Bahamas Shipyard, and Container Port, and all these big Morton and all these. We got Bahamians doing it. So you tell me these private islands could find somebody that is more qualified than the Bahamian, or we don't have Bahamians qualified to do the private island Port Facility Security Officer. That's foolishness. That's nonsense. And we got to fix that. I don't want funny names. That's the highest level of security of this country is what? Airport security. And then port security. But you got foreigners in charge, so they're in all our meetings. They're hearing what we're doing there. No, we don't want no funny names in our meetings. So I put it to the government authority responsible for giving these facilities their license to ensure that they're not violating the government policy, which specifies that security is an area reserved for Bahamian citizens only. So cut it out and stop being slack. Why this thing is run me hot? Because you know what? I already retired anyhow. Ain't nothing they can do with me. They can do with me. Put me in jail. I don't care. I don't care. We need to get it right. We need to stop doing folly. Let's get this thing right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs every Tuesday at 5:05 or 17:05 p.m. right after the news break. And we run for an hour and a half. So as you can see, we have 3 minutes left. We're getting ready to close out. But still have time to call in. If you want in on this discussion, give us a call. 325 or 326, correction, 8255. That's 326 8255. We were covering tonight the Baltimore bridge collapse. That was in the news all day on CNN, on BBC, on ABC, NBC, CBS. Everybody talk about, because the impact of that, and we'll see for days to come, is so significant. Because you got a couple big ships stuck in harbor now. They can't even get out. They can't get out because the bridge along the route, and they don't know, they've got to clear that out now in order for them to be able to come out and for any ship to go in. So Boston Harbor, basically, not Boston, correction, Baltimore Harbor is on lock. until they get this cleared up, so that ships could freely negotiate in and out of that harbor again. We have a call? Caller, you on Maritime Matters. You got 2 minutes. Let's go.
Good night. How are you?
Top shape and getting better, my friend. How are you?
Good. I was listening to you on this security thing that you were talking about a minute ago.
Yes.
And just a short bit ago, there's one of the cruise ships who just brought back another security boss from the States, and we got Bahamians here who are well versed in this type of thing, and they, just give them a new contract to come back again.
Yeah,
but I don't understand where they're going.
No, what happened is the authorities responsible are just slack and they ain't doing their job. That's what it is, They know, because I told them. They just ain't doing it.
Yeah, well, something needs to be done because we got great young men on the defense force who could handle the security that the cruise ship needs on these private islands,
My friend.
They're coming here, they're using all of our facilities, but they don't want to give our people an opportunity.
Yeah, but
I hope something is done soon about that. But you have a good show, buddy, and keep it up. I look forward to hearing you on Tuesdays.
I appreciate it, my friend. Feel free to call in at any time, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you very much.
Roger. Yeah, that young man is absolutely right. Why we need to bring in foreigners when we have so many qualified? I refuse to do another training for PFSO. You know why? Because there's so many people out there who are certified, and these private islands ain't getting them a chance. They rather use their own, well, not their own, but they rather use foreign nationals. And it's a reason why, And not only in this area, these cruise ships take advantage of us. They're using a foreign national because they paying him already. Right? They ain't got to pay to get a Bahamian on their key, and they can need a couple of different Bahamians because when that one leave to go take, but another one got to be there. So they just put the foreigner there and leave them there for a while. And they ain't got to pay this bunch of money to keep Bahamians there, bring them in and out, pay the salary for Bahamians because they're already paying these people. So they find the right person to negotiate that with. And they getting away with it. It's the same thing they're doing with all the jet skis and non-motorized vessels and their parasail. But cruise ships ain't supposed to own them things. Cruise ship ain't supposed to be operating those things. They are areas reserved for Bahamian citizens only. Now you're telling me if we got Bahamians who could do Atlantis, Bahamians who could do Bahamas, with jet skis and parasail, but we can't provide that service for the private island. That is nonsense. They just want to keep all the money in for themselves. Boy, I know when we can fix this, but this need to fix. Ladies and gentlemen, we're fresh out of time. You're listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. It's starting to run hot, but the show is about to run out. So I want to thank you tonight for listening or bearing with us with Maritime Matters. We haven't quite covered all the material we wanted to cover, but we covered quite a bit. We had quite a few calls. So let me just say thank you for you, the listening public, for tuning into our show and listening to us. Let me also thank my great producer, Mr. Craig Gibson, for keeping things going with Maritime Matters. And there he goes to that salute again. I also want to thank my number one fan, Annie Mae, for always keeping in tune with what's going on. She can send me a message tomorrow, tell me everything I discuss on the show. That's how my Annie Mae roll. Yeah? And my sponsors, Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, my other sponsor, Bimini Pilots and GBI Pilots, and of course, my other sponsor would be, what their name? Shanty, what's your place name? My goodness, I talk so much today, I forget Shanty place name. 101 Pharmacy in Nassau, and Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. So, big up to my sponsors. They're going to keep the show alive. We ain't going to nowhere to go. Feel free to be a part of our show at any time. And ladies and gentlemen, as we roll out, as always, I say to you, Maritime Matters, out.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for, look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide